Alright, welcome. So today we are here with the newest Chinese warrior to join the SMITE roster, Erlang Shen. Now, I am recording this in the public test server, so things I'll talk about in this video, they very well could change when it goes to actual launch time on the official server. As well as the patch notes will be in the description below. Highly recommend checking it out. There's a lot to this patch. This patch is definitely meta shifting. So let's get into it. Now, normally in these videos, I like to kind of take a good look at the character and how they kind of compare to the rest of the characters. And when I first saw him in game, I know something was kind of weird about him, and I figured it out. The detail on Erlang Shen is not that great compared to other gods I have up on the screen. A good comparison between Zelketon's armor and his weapon, though it has a lot of detail to it, right? And then you look at Erlang Shen. It seems a little bland. It seems like an early 2000s Dynasty Warriors character game. But I just want to get that off my chest. But I mean, he looks okay once you actually play him. So enough of that. Let's get to actually covering his abilities here. So Erlang Shen, with him being a warrior, you kind of expect certain things to be in his kit, but he does play a little bit different compared to other warriors. He certainly does a lot of basic attack damage, as well as the first thing what I notice about him is his ridiculous hit progression here. There's a lot of numbers here, so this could be very overwhelming. Basically, he has a very long hit chain. The most important thing here, his fourth attack hits all enemies at melee range. With that being said, some pretty popular items come to mind, like the kin size, and as well as Death's Toll. Death's Toll is probably the main starter for him. He might even actually be a decent jungler with having an AoE attack in his attack chain, so that's pretty good. As well as, you may be wondering what this Doge is doing here, just following me around. So what he does, every time you use a basic attack, this dog hits as well for 15% of his basic attack power, which triggers items for basic attacks at 15% of the normal damage, and he can also critical hit. So basically, when you attack, he attacks too, but for a lot lower amount. He also procs item effects, and he can crit. So what it looks like here is pretty much this. Now there's a lot of little numbers going on here. But you're noticing with the yellow numbers, that is the kin's size passive taking effect, so he can also proc kin size, as well as Frostbind Hammer. It can just keep refreshing the timer on the Frostbind Hammer debuff on your targets. And he can also crit, though I don't really see many people building crit on Erlang Shen, because crit normally takes about 2 items to have an efficient crit build. And that takes away from, you know, a defensive item, since you don't want to go full out damage build on him, because he is melee range and you will definitely get blown up. His escape potential is not that great. Going into his first ability here, Spot Weakness, it's basically a self buff, giving him additional physical damage on his basic attacks, as well as once it goes on cooldown and you keep using your basic attacks, it actually lowers the cooldown of the ability. So just give an idea of what this looks like. You use your 1, you have more damage, and as you see on the bottom, as soon as I keep using my basic attacks, the cooldown goes lower and lower. So that being said, you might want to go into some basic attack type items, like kin size is probably going to be one of the core items on him. Frostbound, just being able to just kind of stick to your targets. But I feel like kin size is probably enough attack speed to really utilize that. You can maybe use 1 more if you're feeling a little bit more aggressive. Next we have Pen. Pen's actually a really strong ability. Between Pen and the 72 transformations, you may be wondering, that sounds very familiar, and that's from Sun Wukong. He has the same exact ability as far as the name wise. So with Pen, allows you to launch a spear, and if it lands on the dead center, it will stun and cripple that target, as well as it does go over walls, which is very important here. And that allows you to use your next ability, your third ability, to transform into a turtle, which your turtle can knock up targets. It also does damage, and once you turn back into normal human form from the turtle, you also get a nice health shield. Actually, it's not too nice. It's actually pretty weak. And then you also have mink form, which is actually, if you're not using the restricted camera pitch, you have to flick your wrist quite a far away to actually use this. Mink form, pretty much what it does is you turn into this furry noodle, and you deal damage passing through all targets, but once you hit a god, you will actually stop on the target, and your spear will glow yellow, giving you increased attack speed. Let's actually bring up the tooltip here so you can actually see what it looks like. And it's a pretty decent attack speed buff. So for an actual good combination here, it will probably look like using your 2 to stun and cripple the target, allowing you to get closer, then using your 3. The formation is up to you if you want to use a turtle effect or if you want to use the mink form, which I'll probably do something like this. Use your 2, turn to mink, hit him, and then use your 1, And the reason why you would use your 1 after Mink form is your 1 obviously does really well with high attack speed. Once you use Mink form and you hit a target or you right click to cancel it, you get that really high attack speed, allowing you to actually lower the cooldown of your 1 even further. So between cooldown reduction and an attack speed item like Kin Size and using your Mink form, you can actually keep using your spot weakness like all the time. So that's going to be exploited quite a bit. And as well as his ultimate 9 turns blessing. So what this does is, this is what the target looks like. It's actually pretty wide. As you can see, I can actually hit both Odin bots. And what this does is it taunts all targets to you. You gain damage mitigation, and as well as if you do survive, you get a lot of HP back, which might get nerfed, not really sure. So you can see the tooltip here. If he is alive, he gains a flat amount plus 20% of his maximum health, and the flat amount, as you can see here at max rank, it is 510. So quite a lot of healing done here, and then the 20%. So with that being said, of it actually being a percentage of your maximum health, you probably do want to have some type of HP in your build, maybe like a Borg of Hope or something else that has HP, so that way the 20% can ideally be stronger. And that's pretty much it for his kit. It's very simple to understand. Just don't get overwhelmed by this ridiculous hit progression tooltip here. So I feel like he'll be actually really effective. He has a lot of tools in his kit. Actually, I don't think I showed the turtle off. This is what it looks like. You can actually drift with the turtle. It's a little ridiculous. So you turn into this turtle, you can drift, and then as soon as you pop out of it, you have this health shield on the bottom. This is how tiny that health shield is. It might get buffed in the future. But between that and let's say a Bulk of Hope, you actually have a lot of shields on you, so that's pretty effective. And yeah, you can play him a numerous amount of ways. He might have the standard warrior build, which would be going into boots, the breastplate of valor, and then the next items just kind of vary on your personal preference. As well as I do have Death's Toll here, and this might be the go-to starter just because your attack chain, you can hit multiple enemies, and as well as with your Doge, your dog, it will actually proc the passive on Death's Toll multiple times. So as you can see here, instead of having just plus 1 mana, I'm getting plus 2 ideally per hit. And then of course more once you swing in your AoE and you hit multiple targets. So that's probably the go-to starter item. Another route that you might be able to try is actually go into Bluestone Pennant paired with maybe a Red Pot and go into your Mink form. The Mink form, I was taking a look at it, and it does quite a lot of damage, kind of similar to the Tiger form on Sun Wukong, where you might level this up first just so you can do a lot of burst damage once you make contact with that animal form. So Mink damage is pretty high, as well as the pin damage is not too much. But what I'm noticing here is the duration of the stun / crippled for 1.75 seconds. That's actually huge. And as far as the 1 damage, it's not all that great. But I feel like he has so many steroids and a ridiculous hit chain, and he does really well with attack speed items. He might be a really bursty. I'm not really sure how he's going to turn out here. But again, the combination to go to is using your 2, Mink form 3, make contact, and pop your 1. And numbers are just flying all over the place. So a very simple guide, actually pretty fun, I would imagine, to play. It's always nice being able to transform into multiple characters, and as well as he has a lot of skin potential with having a pet with him. So that's going to be it. Hopefully it helps you understand the basics of this guide and a good combination to go into. And yeah, he could even be a jungler, just maybe. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully it was helpful, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Alright, what is this? When activated, Erlang Shen gains additional physical damage on each strike and ignore basic attack movement penalties for the duration? What? He has this? You meaning if I have Frostbound Hammer and I use my 1, I have Frost Talus? What? Wait, what is this now? What? How am I hitting Odin from that far away? This is always in the game. A high res, please.